Hello everyone and welcome back. Today we're talking about how New York Comic Con dealers think that now is the time for you to buy comic books. This video is possibly one of the most unintentionally hilarious videos that you will see in a long time. This video that I'm about to show you is from a channel called Mighty Comics and Collectibles. He's a friend of the channel. He's taken some shots at me before that have been hilarious. And this video he's put in a lot of effort in this video, and it has come out unintentionally hilarious. It seems like Mighty has gone to New York Comic Con, and he's done something very similar to how Swaggle Hoss has gone and interviewed these Comic Con dealers, specifically guys with high-end type books or dealers that have been doing this for quite some time. Well, I'm going to show you some of this footage, and I've kind of edited it just to kind of trim down where they talk about the comic book market and what they think you should be doing, the collector, and whether or not you should be buying or not. So without further ado, let's take a look at this video.
We've been selling since setup, actually. Yesterday was a crazy day. We sold a ton of books, some big books, Batman 11, Batman 121, and a 5.0. So some really big books have popped off. Been a lot of people coming through yesterday, and we're hoping today's just as busy, being Friday. So,
how do you feel about the comic market right now?
I mean, it's a perfect time actually for buyers. It's not really the great seller market. It is in the sense of if you're getting stuff at a good value to be able to resell it. It's a great time to be able to sell that to people that are looking for collections and looking for their Grail books that they weren't able to afford during the peak. So right now is a great time for them, and as long as you're buying right, you're doing well. But if you bought a little bit too high, held on to some stuff, there's some ouches on the sales, but it is
like me.
I honestly think there's going to be a little bit of a flat line for a little bit. Comic side of it, you might see a little bit of upticks of certain hot trends that are hopping as MCU, DCU type news happens. I do pulps as well here and there, and that market skyrocketed. It's come way back down to where it was before the slab thing. And I think a lot of those comic guys gobbled up what they wanted, and now you're seeing a real flat line on pulps at this point after that's been a big drop. But I think, we'll see some more pulps in that flat line and a little bit of uptick here and there.
Flat line.
Probably Golden Age is going to continue, and that's where I try to specialize myself. It's
wow.
kind of funny.
Hot
you got
take.
people coming up saying they don't have any interest in slabs, but the majority of what I'm selling is slabs. So it's kind of funny that you got people saying that, and then
no interest in slabs.
So I was a little concerned. You see a lot of stuff on Instagram, a lot of people asking for raws, and it's not quite what I'm seeing here. I am selling raws, but a lot of it's slabs. I think that people do like the slabs because it's sometimes hard under the lights here to really see all those issues, imperfections, find that color touch where
it's hard for you to hide stuff.
Integrate, it's a slab. And it's what they're after at these big shows. They have hit lists that they're going for, and it's easier for them just to boom, get it, not have to grade it. Whereas the guys that are online on Instagram, they're a bit savvy they want to be able to get a great deal, to get it cleaned and pressed, and then
unlike the idiots at the Comic Cons,
cheaper because they're taking a little bit inherent risk, not seeing it in person like that. So.
Well, the market is fragmented, so there are some segments that really took a hit while others did not. So for those segments that took a hit, that represent some really good buying opportunities. So if you were in the market and maybe priced out, this is really the time to go in there and get it. Because if you want those books, I don't know what you're waiting for. Because they will go back up. If not today or tomorrow, in a couple of months, and you'll be kicking yourself.
Right.
So that's what I would say. And dude, if you get books, come to me.
Was it all or not?
I do not. I only deal in slabs. I find it more easy to buy and sell. You don't have to worry about the grade, especially when you're doing with a more expensive book, because you got to deal with the price is one thing, but if you get the grade wrong, then you're getting hit twice. So you might as well buy something that's graded. You know exactly what it is. You know that there's no restoration unless you're buying
and you can't read it. Perfect.
Book that is restored. To me,
or see the inside
no
of it.
other way. If you're buying raw, you're playing roulette. Depends on the price. It's really all about the number, but. I understand.
It's all about that money.
If I could only own one book, it would always be an Amazing Fantasy 15, the first appearance of Spider-Man.
Golden Age, of course, has always been solid, super strong contender. Obviously, in the past couple of years, we've seen a drop in Silver Age and Modern. But what I see happening over the few years is going to be less of an interesting collected runs. So filler issues are going to decrease in value. It's going to be interesting covers and key issues that are just going to continue to rise.
We're already
right
there.
Now I'm buying. but as a collector, because I am a collector myself, so I am buying as a collector just to add to my collection, because I'm like, oh, it's not as expensive as it was 2 years ago.
How today and Saturday goes,
This poor
crowd-wise,
guy.
but as for, how the community and just everything in the market has changed over the years, I always am blaming COVID, just because that really changed everything as a whole, and nobody really wants to go back to that time, unfortunately, for the, reasons said, but obviously that was at a time when, people couldn't get to cons and people couldn't go shop out in person, so, prices were going up, signings were popping up, private signings all over the place and everything like that, so, I don't think we're really ever going to get back to that unless, God forbid, a really unfortunate pandemic hits us again, which I don't want.
So that last guy, the CGC guy, I just had to throw him in there just because the poor guy just seemed like he didn't have any idea what was going on. And he was talking about why would CGC not want another freaking pandemic to happen? I mean, that's when they're literally, their company just exploded. But super interesting video where, you've got guys that are just still grinding it out, doing these Comic Cons, doing these, going on these rotations. A lot of these guys I'm not as familiar with because they're more, Northeast guys or, not in the Southeast where I am. But it's a hilarious question to ask a dealer whether or not you think it's the time to buy. Imagine a dealer saying, oh, no. Now's not the time to buy. I think now is the time to sell. That would just be, it would be hilarious. And just their reactions, kudos to them for taking the interview. I think Mighty said that Heritage Auctions actually declined his invitation for an interview, which I think personally says a lot. And the guys that did take the interviews, I got some respect for them because, they definitely didn't have to do that. And I think Mighty asked some pretty decent questions. He's not asking him hard-hitting questions, but, kind of getting a feel of what these dealers think the comic book market is. It's pretty funny because and they're basically saying how it is. Golden Age is really the only safe bet. Everything else, especially the Bronze Age stuff, the Marvel stuff, and the guy even talked about MCU and DCU speculation. I almost lost it when he was talking about that. It's just, all that stuff has crashed. It's everybody knows how volatile it is now. Basically, we're just having to wait for a new crop of people that came in like they did in the pandemic and say, hey, oh man, I want to get that first giant, X-Men 94, second appearance of the team or something, and re-legitimize these books. It's like those people are now gone. They're out of the hobby. So now you're having to try to get those people back in. The second guy talking about how he's basically talking about FOMO. He was talking about, you got to buy these books now. You got to get them now because in about 2 or 3 months, they could go back up again. And I'm like, dude, give me a break. And the best part about that was he deals exclusively in slabs. You're going to a comic book convention. That's what's, and I'm definitely guilty of it. I've bought slabs at a Comic-Con, but it's just like, when you go to a Comic-Con, the whole point is to not buy slabs. If you're going to buy a slab, buy it on freaking eBay. Buy it on Comic Link. Buy it on Heritage, something. You buy raws in person. And then the first guy talking about how, you got savvy buyers online buying the raws so they can press them and clean them and they can submit them themselves. That's the game. That's the shtick that they're trying to pull. It's just funny listening to these guys talk about this stuff, man, because it's like, he was trying to make it seem like the people that were coming and buying were not that savvy because they were buying like graded comics for overpriced prices. It was kind of funny. And then the Comic Link guy, obviously he's saying now's the time to buy because he's like working for Comic Link. He apparently said he was a collector as well. So he was in the mood for buying. And then the poor last guy, the CGC guy, was just like, he didn't even know what's going on. He's just there with Matt Nelson just chilling. But guys, this was a hilarious video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If at any point in time you like this video, give it a thumbs up. And if you like this video, subscribe for more. Take care.